So I've been getting a lot of messages lately from people looking to move to Cambridge, Ontario, and not just casual interest. I'm talking serious buyers who are trying to leave the GTA and make a real move. And the same question keeps coming up over and over again. Is Cambridge actually worth it? Or is it just the cheaper alternative to Toronto and the surrounding cities? So in this video, I'm going to break it all down for you. The real market conditions, the neighborhoods, the commute, the lifestyle, and what it actually feels like to live here in 2026 so you can make a confident decision before moving. And just for context, I've spent a lot of time in Cambridge over the years, and I've seen how much it's changed, especially recently with how competitive the housing market has become, again in certain pockets. Now, first, let's zoom out for a second and talk about where Cambridge actually fits in. Cambridge is part of the Waterloo region along with Kitchener and Waterloo. And this entire region has become one of the fastest growing areas in Ontario. What makes it interesting is that you're sitting right inside that Toronto commuter belt, but you're still getting pricing that in a lot of cases is significantly lower than what you'd see closer to the GTA. And that's really the main reason people are moving here right now. It's not just affordability, it's value. You're getting more space, newer homes, and in many cases, a better lifestyle balance compared to what you'd find in places like Mississauga, Brampton, Milton, or Oakville. And here's something important happening right now in the market. Cambridge is heating up again. We're seeing homes entering competition in certain neighborhoods, especially in areas like Hespeler and parts of Galt and newer subdivisions across the city. And the reason for that is pretty simple. A lot of buyers are getting priced out of the GTA, but they still want access to it. So they're looking at Cambridge and realizing they can get a detached home, often with a yard and more space, for significantly less money. In many cases, you're looking at detached homes anywhere from the low 700,000s into the low millions, depending on the area. Townhomes in the mid 600s and up, and condos generally still sitting in a much more accessible range compared to the GTA. Now, commute is usually the next big concern, and this is where Cambridge actually surprises a lot of people. If you're commuting into the GTA, you're generally looking at about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on where you're going and the time of day. Hespeler tends to be one of the most convenient for highway access. And what a lot of people don't realize is that while Cambridge is further out than Milton or Burlington, your actual drive can feel more consistent because you're not dealing with the same level of congestion getting out of your neighborhood. And if you're hybrid or working from home even a few days a week, Cambridge becomes a really strong option because you're trading commute time for space, value, and quality of life. Now, Cambridge itself is not one single type of city. It's actually made up of 4 main areas that all feel a bit different. And this matters a lot when you're deciding where to live. You've got Hespeler, Preston, Galt, and Blair, and the surrounding areas. Hespeler is probably the most in demand right now, especially for commuters. This is where you're seeing a lot of newer developments, newer homes, and families moving in. It's very clean, very suburban, and it has some of the best highway access in the city. Preston is a little bit more mixed. You've got older homes, some newer pockets, and really strong access to amenities. One of the biggest highlights here is Riverside Park, which is one of the best green spaces in the entire city. Preston tends to be a little bit more affordable and a little more established, so it's a good balance depending on what you're looking for. Galt is really the heart of Cambridge. This is the historic downtown core with the Grand River running through it, limestone buildings, walkable streets, cafes, restaurants, and a very unique character that you don't find in newer suburban areas. The trade-off is that you do get older housing stock in a lot of pockets, but for a lot of people, the charm really makes up for it. And then you've got Blair and some of the surrounding areas, which are quieter, more rural in feel, with larger lots and more space. This is where people go if they want privacy and a slower pace, but you do rely more on driving for everything. Now, when it comes to lifestyle, one of the biggest advantages Cambridge has is access to nature. The Grand River runs through the city and it really shapes how people live here. You've got trails, conservation areas, kayaking, walking paths, and a lot of outdoor space that people actually use year round. And for families, Cambridge really checks a lot of boxes. You've got strong public and Catholic schools, a lot of recreation programs, sports leagues, and a very community-driven feel in most neighborhoods. Now, let's talk honestly about the trade-offs, because no city is perfect. The biggest pros here are affordability compared to the GTA GTA. More space, stronger commute access, and a growing market that still has room to move. You're also getting a lot of nature, parks, and family-friendly environment. On the other hand, you do get the same level of nightlife. On the other hand, you don't get the same level of nightlife or entertainment that you'd see in Toronto or even parts of Mississauga or Burlington. Some areas are still developing, and if you're commuting 5 days a week into the core of the GTA, the drive can still be a factor that you need to think about seriously. But overall, what I'm seeing right now is a city that is clearly in transition. Cambridge is no longer just the cheaper option, it's becoming a destination for families who want value, space, and long-term livability. And more buyers I'm working with aren't just moving here temporarily, they're settling here for the long term, because once you get that balance of affordability and lifestyle, it's hard to go back. So if you're thinking about making a move to Cambridge and you want to figure out which neighborhood actually fits your lifestyle or what your budget can realistically get you in today's market, feel free to reach out to me and my team and we can walk you through it properly. If you want, in the next video, I can break down the best and worst neighborhoods in Cambridge in much more detail so you can really narrow down where you should be focusing your search. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.